You may begin.
Okay, the Housing, Urban Development and Zoning Committee meeting for, what is today? Thursday, June 9th, 2022 will be called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis.
Present.
Alderman Cone. Vice Chair Coder.
Here.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Here.
Alderman Ryan. Alderwoman Evans. I'm sorry, I thought I saw Alderwoman Evans.
Are we short one?
We are.
Okay, let's hold off and let's try to track some of these folks down.
Give me just a second, I can make some calls. Three
right.
present, you do not have one.
We need Evans, Narayan, and Cohen. It's one of them, right?
Yes, sir. I'll make calls. I'll call
That's
Alderwoman Evans. What's for Evans? Alderman Ryan just showed up.
perfect.
4 present, you have quorum.
All right. Have we confirmed Alderman Narayan's here?
Alderman Ryan.
Okay. 4 present, we've got a quorum. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Okay, before we move to the agenda, let me just say for those watching at home, obviously in light of all the indictments and resignations in recent weeks, temporarily as vice chair, I'm chairing the committee. I do expect at some point there'll be a reshuffling of committee chairmanships, but in the interim, we have some important time-sensitive bills that need to get done. So we've called this meeting to address 2 of those, and until we've got the committee reshuffle done, this committee will continue to meet and do the important business of the city. Obviously, a lot of both zoning and federal dollars and development projects flow through this committee, and so we can't just stop working in the interim. So we're going to continue on, and with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the HUD's committee meeting minutes from Tuesday, May 31st, 2022.
I move that we approve the minutes from, what's the date?
May 31st, 22.
May 31st, 2022. Second.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 27th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 4th, that we approve the May 31st, 2022 HUD's committee meeting minutes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Cone. Vice Chair Coder.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Ryan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans.
Aye.
5 aye votes.
All right, by the vote, we've sustained the motion to approve the minutes for the May 31st meeting. Okay, now we've got board bills for review, and we're going to start today. We generally, as a rule, we go by seniority. So the Alderwoman from the 8th is recognized first on Board Bill 43.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the HUD's committee. Board Bill 43 is establishing the South Grand Area Special Use District. So you're probably familiar with this area. It is already the Community Improvement District of South Grand. So this is an additional overlay on top of that. And we've got several folks from the Planning Division that are on. I believe Mr. Jonathan Roper has a presentation for us, and Mary Hart Burton is here as well. They did an immense amount of work on this in talking with community members, coming to community or neighborhood association meetings and the like. So I would love to turn it over to Mr. Roper if I could, Mr. Chairman.
That'd be just fine. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Chair, and good afternoon, members of the HUD's committee. My name is Jonathan Roper. I am a senior planner with the Planning and Urban Design Agency on behalf of the City of St. Louis. And I'm also joined here with the zoning director here is Mary Hard Burden, as well as zoning official Dylan Mosier. So those two as well will be on the call with me with us. And I'm going to go ahead and share. And larger, there we go. And is that visible for everyone to see?
Looks good here.
All right. So Board Bill 43 considers legislation to enable a special use district overlay zoning district along the South Grand Boulevard and the Tower Grove South and Tower Grove East neighborhoods. Under the special use district enabling legislation, a specific special use district may regulate changes in uses and new developments within a business-oriented commercial district, which assist in either the implementation or furthering a adopted plan or responds to well-defined health, safety, or general welfare issues. This area must also be at least 2 contiguous acres in size. The area, the underlying zoning in the area. So here's the district with the zoning map overlaid to it, and the SUD proposed boundaries are in black. And as you can see, the area is mainly zoned. The underlying zoning is commercial zoning of H area commercial, along with sporadic parcels that are both 2-family and D multifamily. Also note that the total area of this district exceeds the minimum 2 contiguous acres because it's 19, a little over 19 acres in size. There are a number of planning activities in the area. So on the screen here, within the proposed SUD boundary, you also have in the light bluish green here, the South Grand Square Chapter 99 redevelopment area, which was approved in 2005 as of late to facilitate the development of the South Grand area, and hopefully into more productive commercial and residential uses. There are also arrows, green arrows going from left to right on the screen as well, and also down South Grand, so one north-south. That indicates the East-West Gateway led Great Streets plan, which looked to set a vision and a plan for the South Grand district to make it into a destination, attracting both residents, visitors, while also providing a safe place to live, work, and play. So that's what that plan in 2009, 2010 was trying to do as well. And we also have the boundaries of the South Grand SID district as well, which was formed to support businesses as well. The strategic land use plan, which is the city's general comprehensive plan that covers every single property with some type of designation. We looked at what that comprehensive plan said, and it looks like it's for the most part in the district. We have neighborhood commercial area that you see in pink, which looks to not only serve the immediate needs of the neighborhood, but also adjoining neighborhoods as well with different commercial needs. You also have a few other SLOOP designations like the orange, which is neighborhood development area, which looks for more, big infill development, and the blue is the institutional preservation development area, usually reserved for like religious institutions or universities and schools and stuff like that. So the staff did find in the process that this was in compliance with the SLOOP plan as well as the other plans as well. In the process, staff also did an analysis of the district, and also want to note in working with a number of community organizations, community members as well. The findings overall were that there were some difficulties in attracting new businesses just due to the persistent vacancy that exists in some portions of the area, or due to some existing undesirable uses or incompatible uses that exist in the district. some unattractive appearance in a district and different perceptions of criminal activities in the district, whether that's from graffiti or just the abandonedness in some of the buildings, and also different illegal dumping that happens in the area. Findings state that the certain uses in the area might have the potential to be a detriment to the area, which if they were issued under a conditional use, that would actually allow the residents in the area to determine the scale of different business operations, like hours operation, on a case-by-case basis. Also, the findings note that certain uses really cater to more of a regional or auto-oriented level user, as opposed to a more like a user that's a walkable design that fits more of a neighborhood commercial level scale. And finally, another finding that a lot of the when windows are covered in different districts or with different signage or materials that you can't see through, it really lowers the visual surveillance of looking into a building and being able to look out. And also when a lot of storefront windows are covered, it lessens the welcoming environment that pedestrians like. Further findings, there's different studies on the amount of vacancies in the area along with the existing issues. So on the left, there's a buildings with chronic vacancy shown, and on the right, there are citizen service bureaus calls from a couple of years from January 2017 through March 2022 in the area. And finally, so this special use district was initiated and recommended by the Planning Commission on May 11th. And after seeing all the findings, the actual recommendations from the Planning Commission are to the Board of Aldermen is to create a special use district that will prohibit certain uses and also provide others as conditional. So we're going to go through these just real quickly here. There's some of the prohibited uses that are on the screen that were found to be either somewhat outdated, and because we do have a zoning code that was first adopted in 1947. So some things like maybe milk distributing bottle plants, which might be a carryover from a couple decades ago, but it's also found to be less of a use that is inviting for what the South Grand area is trying to do for themselves. So there's a number of items here that are prohibited. One item I want to highlight are the motor fuel pumping stations, where those are both in the district. They have had existing issues, but also as the main primary user of this is a vehicle and a car, it's very auto oriented. And so also there are a lot of curb cuts on here, which take away from the walkable environment that South Grand is trying to establish. So there are a number of conditional uses as well in here that do provide the neighborhood an opportunity to state under what conditions that these uses would be more appropriate in the district as well. And they would go through a conditional use hearing. Other regulations include just prohibit on rope lighting around windows for commercial uses and signage. And you might have seen this one also, if you're calling the Bevo SUD, where looks to reduce the amount of signage that covers windows, so both people inside and outside can feel a little bit more safer because you have the visual surveillance in an area. Also, it's noted as a crime prevention method where as you increase the look through a building, it should lessen crime. Finally, there's a regulation here that would actually reduce the legal non-conforming uses, timing that a new user can move in. So for example, right now today, if gas stations are conditional uses, if this SUD would pass, they would become a legal non-conforming use, and they're also grandfathered in. So they can remain as is. If they went out of business and another person did not apply for an occupancy certificate or a permit within those 30 days after it closes, then that use is no longer a legal non-conforming. It's just, well, it wouldn't be allowed to open again. So that's what the legal non-conforming use with the timing states here. With that, I just want to note, just briefly speaking, that this was made partnership with other community organizations in the Tower Grove neighborhoods area. Also, there was a pop-up by Dylan and another member of the PDA staff. This did have a 15-day public hearing notice and posted on every block of the district. And PDA's the Planning Commission did recommend initiation and a positive recommendation to the Board of Aldermen on May 11th. And with that, I would like to give it over to Dylan.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. Jonathan essentially covered just about everything. There was one other aspect that I want to add, and excuse me. Good afternoon, everyone. Dylan Mosier with the city zoning staff. One other item I would note is that you'll see it in section 8B regarding signage. The SUD would also change the requirements or the allowances for the size of signage from the H area commercial district, which is a zoning district that is, more catered to regional and auto-oriented uses. It would change those regulations down, restricting it to the level of the F neighborhood commercial district, which is a pedestrian-oriented. So essentially things like channel letter signs and cabinet signs and even, wall decals and whatnot, that would reduce the amount of signage that businesses would be allowed, just so that we don't have those larger signs that are really after the car that's, potentially driving 40 miles, down the street and whatnot. But we've been working on this for a while. We feel really good about it. We feel really great about the amount of public outreach we did and input and really want to, applaud the Rachel Witt with the community improvement districts as well as the alders for the area and just, feel grateful to everybody who weighed in on this. If anybody has any questions about rationale or, what this means on an actual zoning regulatory level, myself along with my boss, the zoning administrator, happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mosier and Mr. Roper. That's very thorough and informative. I see our zoning commissioner is also on and sign up as a speaker. I'll defer to you, Alderwoman Rice, if you want to have any more speakers or go to questions.
If our zoning commissioner has anything she wants to add, I'm more than happy to hear it. But otherwise, we're all here to answer questions if the committee has them.
Mary, anything, or can we move to questions?
You are free to move to questions. I agree with everything that.
Great job. All right. We'll go down the list here. Alderwoman Davis.
No questions.
Alderman Cone. No, if he joined us. Nope. Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, you are there. Sorry. There you
Yeah.
go.
No questions. Just I want to thank everyone. We've been working on a similar special use district in Dutchtown, and I know how much effort it takes on the part of neighbors, community organizations, and city staff. So just want to express my gratitude to everyone who's been involved in this process.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Boyd.
I'm confused on the gas station part. Could you walk back through with that?
I'll jump in for a second, Alderwoman Boyd. So currently existing in the district, there are 2 gas stations that are being allowed to continue operating as legal non-conforming uses. So right now they're legal and conforming, but once we pass this, they will be non-conforming uses. But because they currently exist, we're going to let them continue to exist. But the piece that that Jonathan was detailing was that, so if one of them were ever to go out of business, if they're out of business for more than 30 days, then their grandfathered status goes away, and then it's no longer a permitted use. Does that make sense? Is that your question?
Yeah. I was just confused trying to figure that out. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Any other questions, Alderwoman Boyd?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Ryan.
No questions. Thanks for the presentation.
Alderwoman Evans.
No questions. Alderwoman Boyd cleared up some of the questions relating to the filling stations. I was just trying to figure it because I'm new to this as well. So I have no questions.
All right. Thank you, Alderwoman. Okay, well, with that, I don't have any questions. I think this is great. And I know the planning staff has been hard at work on this with support of the neighborhood. So the chair will entertain a motion to adopt Board Bill 43 with a due pass recommendation. Anyone want to make that motion?
I move that we adopt Board Bill. What's the Board Bill number?
43.
43 with a due recommendation.
All right.
With a
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by the Alderwoman for the 4th that we adopt Board Bill 43 with a due pass recommendation, and seconded by the Alderman from the 24th. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Vice Chair Coder,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Ryan,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans.
Aye.
6 aye votes.
All right, and with that, Board Bill 43 is adopted by the committee with a due pass recommendation. Thank you, Alderwoman Rice and members of the planning staff. Planning and zoning, sorry about that. Okay, with that, we'll move on to Board Bill 36 by Alderman Page. Alderman Page, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair and members of the HUD's committee. I am excited to bring before you Board Bill 36, and just want to share a few high-level things about it. First and foremost, those of you who know me know that I am Mr. Community Engagement. During the drafting of this bill, I actually engaged my community associations, the Project Connect team, and all the way down to the block level to share the benefits of this bill. So what are they? With this bill, we are providing a funding plan of primarily state and federal funding to completely rebuild a number of streets around the NGA site. First and foremost will be Jefferson Avenue, all the way from the interchanges down at I-64 all the way to Natural Bridge. It will include Cass Avenue from west of the NGA site all the way over to probably about 14th Street. And I say about, we're going to get more technical in just a minute. In a later phase, it will include complete rebuild of St. Louis Avenue, again from west of the NGA site over by Jefferson, all the way over to about North Florissant. And 2 other streets, it will include complete rebuild of 22nd Street, which is immediately adjacent to the NGA site, and 20th Street as well. Now, I presented this, the basic tenets of this bill while it was still in draft mode to my constituents in neighborhood association meetings. And let me tell you, people are excited about it. So without going any further, I'd like to bring on one of my colleagues, if it's okay with you, Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. Rob Orr of SLDC. And he has a brief presentation, after which we'll be happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Alderman. Mr. Orr, go ahead.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman and HUD's committee members. Thank you, Alderman Page, for supporting and sponsoring this board bill. My name is Rob Orr. I'm a Deputy Executive Director at St. Louis Development Corporation. And With your permission, Mr. Vice Chair, I would like to share my screen.
Yes, go for it.
And no attention to how many windows I have open. Can you see it? I'm not seeing it.
I can see your presentation.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Switch to my other. Okay, here we go. So again, Board Bill 36, which is a refinancing bill associated with public improvements in the neighborhoods around the NGA. Just to give you a little bit of a context, when the city and the state were working together to retain the NGA and its 3,150 employees in the city of St. Louis, there were a number of commitments that were made to the Air Force, which actually owns the property, but also the National Geospatial Agency, which is a tenant of the Air Force on this site. We committed to deliver the site, roughly 99 acres, from one owner as one parcel, environmental remediation, buildings removed, streets removed, alleys vacated, utilities relocated, and historical mitigation all took place. The total cost of delivering this site to the Air Force was approximately $100 million. Additional promises committed to the NGA was to improve the infrastructure, as Alderman Page referred to. This includes Jefferson Avenue, Cass Avenue, and a new construction of I-64 at Jefferson Interchange. Previously, you were unable to get off I-64 at Jefferson if you were going westbound, and you could not get on going eastbound from Jefferson. That full interchange is nearly completed in construction, and I'll talk about the infrastructure a little bit later. The third commitment was to improve the neighborhoods surrounding the NGA. One of those things was to cooperate with the U.S. government to limit future developments that could be incompatible with the NGA's mission and security. That was accomplished by the Geospatial Protection and Enhancement Special Use District, excuse me, City Ordinance 71495. We committed to eliminate blight, increase public safety and security, and provide new residential, commercial, and retail opportunities. This promise led to the creation of Project Connect, which many of you have heard of. It's an SLDC initiative to help improve the neighborhoods in and around the NGA as a result of this large federal complex locating to this geography. Currently underway as part of this neighborhood improvement is a neighborhood planning effort. Jonathan Roper, who just previously presented on the previous board bill, is helping with that effort in the planning department, and that's for the 6 Project Connect neighborhoods around the NGA. So the source of the funds that were used to complete the site acquisition and clearing activities that were required, the city pledged $1.5 million annually from earnings taxes generated by the NGA's direct and indirect payroll. In 2017, when the document was executed, this was generating approximately $2.5 million. Today, with increased wages of the NGA staff, the earnings taxes are generating $3.5 million. The state pledged up to $12 million annually from the withholding taxes generated by the same direct and indirect employees of the NGA, but they've only been appropriating slightly less than half of that, just under $6 million through 2046. So those two above commitments generated $114.5 million in bond proceeds. The state also contributed $44 million in brownfield tax credits, which produced $40 million in net proceeds. As part of that, the state required the city to withhold or hold back $13 million until we could demonstrate all these activities could be completed. The city also provided an additional $13 million through the St. Louis Municipal Finance Corporation through a loan in which 1520 Market Street was the collateral. These additional funds were required because the city chose, in order to compete with St. Clair County, Illinois, to give the property to the Air Force, excuse me, instead of selling it. So under the new financing agreement, the state is going to increase its annual appropriation by $850,000. It requires, and the city must agree, to appropriate an additional $650,000. But the state will also release its hold on the $13 million from the brownfield tax credits that will allow the city to pay off its loan on 1520 Market Street. So these additional payments will generate $23 million in a new bond issue. These bond proceeds will be used to leverage and secure an additional $40 million in federal funding to complete the 4 infrastructure projects listed below. As Alderman Page mentioned, Cass Avenue, 2 sections. One is from Tucker to Elliott, which is 1 block west of Jefferson. Cass Section 2 is Elliott to Grand. St. Louis Avenue from 11th Street to North Jefferson, and then 22nd Street from Cass to St. Louis Avenue. These projects total $54.1 million, provides contingencies. As we all know, we're experiencing inflation, and that affects the construction industry as well. So we will have $9 million to address contingencies and cost overruns. If this board bill passes, this is the net effect on the city's annual payments. The next 3 fiscal years, no change. From 2026 to 2035, the city's payments will decrease by $850,000 because it will not be making debt payments on the 1520 Market Street loan. 2036 to 2045, the payments will increase by $650,000. The net savings to the city through 2046 is $1.35 million in nominal dollars, but in present day value, that's actually a savings to the city of $3.5 million. Additional benefits to the city, the state will increase its debt service payments by $20.4 million, and the city pays off its $13 million loan. So these are the infrastructure projects that in green have been funded, subject to some cost overruns, which we're experiencing. Full interchange construction at I-64 in Jefferson. MoDOT is building that. It is nearly complete. It will be open this fall. I-64 at Jefferson City Streets. These are the streets in and around the MLS Stadium. As you know, the construction of that new interchange allowed some of the on and off ramps to I-64 to be eliminated. And that cleared and provided a new ground for which the MLS Stadium and its practice complexes are now being constructed. And all that was made possible by rebuilding that interchange at I-64 in Jefferson. Jefferson Avenue corridor, which really comes from, it starts all the way down at Shoto and goes all the way north to Natural Bridge. The first part of that is already contracted. That work will begin soon. The second piece is from Market up to Natural Bridge. That is currently out for bid. I believe bids are due next week. 20th Street from Market on the south to St. Louis Avenue on the north. This is a project that is currently in the design phase. We also contributed monies from the previous bond issues to do the neighborhood planning effort. And the streets that are shown in blue here are those that I mentioned that we will leverage these new proceeds to complete in the future. And then I want to just finish up with the fact that, you know, while the NGA was the catalyst for all of this public infrastructure dollars that are being spent in this geography, it really serves a much broader audience than just the NGA's 3,150 employees. So if you look at the 2020 census in the neighborhoods around the NGA, the Project Connect neighborhoods, there's 14,518 residents that will benefit from these infrastructure improvements. In downtown West and Midtown, there's another almost 12,000 residents. And if you look at the employment counts in the Project Connect neighborhoods, 3,700 employees, and in the downtown West and Midtown neighborhoods that benefit particularly from the interchange project and the Jefferson project, 35,000 employees. So this benefit to the city is significantly greater than it is just to the NGA. The NGA was the catalyst that we were able to tap into these funds to keep the employees and to make these public infrastructure improvements. But as you can see, a significantly greater population benefits from all of this work. So with that, I will entertain any questions. I know that also on the call are Mark Spikerman and Charles Salisbury, who are co-bond counsel, and Gina Martin with Stiefel, who will be the bond issuer. And the mayor's chief of staff, Jared Boyd, is also on this call, and I believe he would like to say a few words. So with that, I will stop sharing my screen unless anyone wants to refer to any slides.
Thank you, Mr. Orr. Why don't we hear from Mr. Jared Boyd, and then we can take questions unless the alderman has anyone else that wants to speak.
No, that's a good plan.
All right, Mr. Boyd.
Thank you, Alderman Coder and distinguished members of the committee. I will be brief. I think Alderman Coder made light of the way the world has changed over the course of the past 2 weeks. And in light of that, I do want to highlight that, yes, there are calls to provide additional scrutiny on development deals in our real estate transactions in the city that are done on an ad hoc basis. And I think we're hearing those calls from many different places, but want to just distinguish this bill and this project from some of those ad hoc bills. The NGA project and these commitments are the result of the city and state responding to a competitive federal procurement process. This was not done, this was all done above board, and these are promises that were entered into to both retain and expand jobs and earnings tax revenues in the city of St. Louis. So while we agree that there should be additional scrutiny with ad hoc development deals, we do not feel that this is the type of board bill or development deal that falls into that category. This is, like I said, a commitment that was made in response to an open and competitive federal procurement process. With that being said, this is something that our administration thinks is important and time sensitive, and would, with that, relinquish my time and thank you all for an opportunity to speak on this important board bill.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Appreciate your comments. And I think the short order is this is above board and this is very important. So let's go to the committee and see who's got questions, starting with Alderwoman Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I do know that as we look at projects like this and other projects that have been in the making with preparedness for some as long as 5 years, going back and forth with the various committees of oversight in the executive branch, we will ask questions and we will be concerned on behalf of the residents of the city of St. Louis. But knowing that we have all these checkpoints and probably we'll have some additional ones added, that we still need to move the city forward. We are in a critical time now. Investments are high and we have to take advantage of that. So I'm excited about this project. Believe me, all that will benefit from it is so much needed. Even if the NGA wasn't there, it was needed. So I want to thank everybody for all the work they've done on this. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. And I'm definitely looking forward to making sure that we have the minority participation level that is respectable on behalf of the city of St. Louis. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Cone.
I don't have any questions at this time.
All right, Alderwoman Boyd.
I have a question. Has anyone had communications with Comptroller Darlene Green in regards to this bond?
I can
Go ahead, Mr. Gore.
Yeah, I can address that. This board bill has already been heard by the E&A committee. And Mark, I don't know if you got anything to add on that, but it wouldn't have passed out without the comptroller's support.
That is correct, Rob. This is Mark Spikerman from Gilmore and Bell. I'm co-bond counsel along with Charles Salisbury. And prior to it going to E&A, the comptroller and her office staff were briefed on it.
Okay.
And Charles, go ahead.
And I keep hearing people making the comments that we have to really watch how we're doing business and making sure we're on point. And so an alder person had asked a question of someone on another committee if they have had any donations given to them with this. So Alderman Page, have you had any donations from any of these people?
I have had not only no donations, but I've had nothing given to me of value, cash or otherwise, as a process of working through this bill, introducing it, and presenting it to you today. So the answer is an unequivocal no.
Thank you, sir. No more questions.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Ryan.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. First, I just want to apologize to the alderman from the 5th. I know that he reached out to me prior to this hearing, and I wasn't able to connect with them. So I just wanted to say sorry about that. I know in general, there's been an appetite in the last few days, at least, to really slow a lot of these projects down, coming through SLDC and getting more eyes on them, make sure everything's above board. But given the specifics of this particular project, I will be supportive of this today, and just want to thank everyone who has been involved. Thanks.
Thanks, Alderman. Alderwoman Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I have no questions, and I also will be in support of this bill as well.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, Alderman Page, any closing remarks before we take a vote?
Only that, as I shared earlier, I'm really excited to bring this forward. It has been thoroughly vetted, thoroughly thought through, and most importantly, I have shared the provisions of this board bill with all of the neighborhoods surrounding the NGA site, those in the fabulous 5th Ward and those in Ward 3 and other wards, because I wanted to make sure that everyone surrounding those 6 neighborhoods had the full information. So with that, I would certainly appreciate the HUD's committee's votes in favor of Board Bill 36, and I would appreciate it being passed out with a do pass recommendation.
Thank you, Alderman. All right, with that, unless there's any other questions from members of the committee, the chair will entertain a motion on Board Bill 36.
So moved.
What are we moving?
Second.
To adopt? Hold on. What's the motion?
I move to adopt this bill with a do pass recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 24th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 4th, that we adopt Board Bill 36 with a do pass recommendation. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Vice Chair Coder,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Ryan,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
6 aye votes.
All right, by our vote, we've sustained the motion of the Alderman from the 24th and adopted Board Bill 36 with a do pass recommendation. Thank you, Alderman from the 5th, and all the city staff and bond council who attended today. Moving along our agenda, committee discussion. I don't believe we have any. No. Announcements. Does anyone have any announcements, members of the committee? All right, seeing none, we'll move to excused Alderman. Who's not? Is everybody here?
Everyone is present.
How about that? Oh my gosh. All right. And then I guess with that, the HUD's committee meeting for June 9th, 2020.